Welcome to the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Geisel. This podcast is dedicated to helping you create a life that sets your soul on fire. I believe that is truly possible for everybody, but you have to be willing to do a few things. You have to be willing to let go of your past conditioning. You have to be willing to break free from societal norms. And you have to be willing to get really curious about your life and how you can start to look at it differently. Each week, we will hear stories from people who have done exactly this. People who chose to disrupt the life path they were on, go against the grain, and share the lessons and perspective shifts they had to make along the way. Every episode is committed to not only inspiring you and connecting you with other amazing humans, but actually giving you the tools you need to use this information in your own life so that you continue to evolve and reconnect with your highest self. Are you ready? Let's have some fun. To this week's pretty special episode of a solo episode of the Evolve Beyond Limits podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Geisel. And if you have been with me for a while, then you know that I'm all about growth. I'm all about transformation. And this week, I'm going to talk to you about a little of that is going to be happening. And because August is a month of huge change. I spoke about that on Monday, and I spoke about the fact of jumping and growing wings on the way down. And this is another one of those moments for me. So I want to share with you some of the things that are changing in my life because I really wouldn't be here without you. And I want to take you on this journey. So last week, there was a couple of things that popped up for me, a couple of questions that popped up. And one of them was, who would you be if you had no past? And I know that this might sound like a weird question, but so often we make decisions based on our past or who we used to be. We don't make decisions based on what's possible or who we are right now. And it's okay. And we want to learn from our past, but we can't live from there. I see this a lot with myself and the people that I work with. Like, we spend all of this time on our own growth, finding ourselves, stepping into our authenticity, and have no problem being that person around new people. But the second we get around people who know who we used to be, who we were, we start to revert back to that person instead of standing tall in our change and our growth and who we are right now. I'm guilty of this too. And so something that I've committed to is this: asking myself, how would you show up if you didn't have a past with these people and they didn't know who you used to be? And then I'm committed to showing up as her, because the reality is that the old me isn't coming back. So people can either learn to accept the new version of who we are, or they simply aren't meant to be on our journey any longer. And that's okay. So with that said, one change that that's going to be happening here on the podcast and just really in my life in general is I have been kind of one toe in, one toe out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, whatever you want to say, when it comes to my spirituality. But that connection has completely shifted my life in so many positive ways. It has brought me back to whole, and I can no longer tiptoe around that. Now, I've never been religious, and that left me feeling really broken for a long time. I always felt like this whole sense of like I didn't belong, but I didn't understand why. It just wasn't something that spoke to me. But now I understand that was part of my journey. I had a really hard time wrapping my head around something that caused so much separation in people. And after my own journey, I've realized that it's not actually the religion that causes the separation. It's man's interpretation of that. Now, there is so much that I don't know, but one thing that I do know is I am here to bring people together. And I believe that when people connect more with their spirit on top of their mind and their body, is what will help change the world for the better. This is by no means going against religion, actually very far from it. I believe that when we look beyond the strict confines of religion and focus on becoming more connected to our soul and our spirit, we actually become more deeply connected to whatever God or divine you believe in. Now, I understand that there are going to be some people who might struggle with this change and it might turn some people away from me, and that's okay. But my hope is that by letting go and being authentic and allowing myself to evolve and grow and do all the things that I preach on a daily basis, that I might have to let go of those who are not yet open enough to see life from a different perspective. But it will open up a space for those who have never felt like they belonged, or have questioned if maybe there was a different way to look at life, death, and everything in between. Now, I want to be really clear that I do not have all of the answers. I can only speak to the truth that is in my own heart, and that has taken me years to find. I am not here to separate people. I am here to offer a different perspective that brings people together, because in all that I have learned, every religion has a very similar message at its core, but that message has been distorted by man because of our need to have control and power over others. I believe that the different religious leaders from Jesus to Buddha all came here to serve humanity for the greater good. And just like when one person says something to you and then somebody else says the exact same thing to you, and you resonate with one, but you don't resonate with the other one, it's the same thing. They came to speak to whoever would listen, but they brought the same message. And I believe that overarching message is where spirituality comes in. And that is something that can bring people together instead of tear them apart. This is my truth. And I can't go on any longer without speaking 100% from my heart. So those who are meant to be on this journey with me are going to come along, which takes me to the next question that I've been asking myself a lot lately. What would you do if you had no reason to believe it wouldn't work out? Now, there's 4 words that Andrew never wants to hear come out of my mouth, and that is, I have an idea. But what I'm about to share with you is beyond an idea. It's more of a calling. And this came to me in a meditation that I was in a couple of weeks ago. I have sat with it and it won't go away, which means that there's only one place to go, and that's to make it happen. So there are different ley lines on the earth, or they're energy vortexes that can correspond to the different energy centers or the chakras within our body. My goal is to travel to each one and document my experience through each one. I don't really know why I feel so called to do this, but I trust that wherever it leads me is exactly where I'm supposed to be going. I could not be more excited to bring you along on this journey. As I walk that path, I will continue to share my insights and my life lessons, but you can expect to hear me talk more about my spiritual journey and the teachings as I do so. This entire podcast and putting this new adventure out there is actually pretty freaking scary for me. But leaning into my intuition and allowing myself to follow my heart is what allows me to truly embody evolving beyond limits and creating a limitless life. So I'm excited to take you along on this journey, and your support always has and will continue to mean the world to me. So if you do want to help, I will be sharing more details in my newsletter, in my text community, as well as in future episodes on how you can help me bring this dream into a reality. But for today, I want you to think about these 2 questions. And those were, who would you show up as today if you had no past? And what would you do if you had no reason to believe it wouldn't work out? Because I think asking yourself those 2 questions, you might get answers that will shock you. Because maybe we've put things on the back burner. Maybe we aren't showing up fully. Maybe we have hid aspects of ourselves for far too long. And it's time to bring those things to the forefront, because we can't live our life trying to please the crowd that's around us. We have to stay true to our own heart. That is what I teach, and that is what I plan to live. So I would love to hear your thoughts. So if you want to connect more, and you want more questions like this to dive into and start that personal growth, shoot the words journal 2021 to 248-206-3431. And I will add you to our amazing community. And if there are some blocks and you really struggle to show up authentically and you know that you're not living according to your path and there is something that's missing for you, then I would love, love, love to do a white light session with you. You can hop on the website or just follow the link in the show notes to get on the wait list, because it is the first step to potentially a new beginning. So I am sending you so much love and light, and I hope that you are as excited about the changes to come as I am. And until next week, keep evolving.